yeah, like I say, it will be nervy.
All I'd say to lads is good luck. You've got all the fans behind you, and come on, you pies.
But I think Notts will just edge it.
Come on, you pies.
Notts County Talk back with the final preview of the season. It's a huge one, isn't it? For the club, for the players, for the fans, for everyone involved. It's going to be a great game. It'll be a nail biter, I think. But yeah, we are doing a bit of a preview of a difference, aren't we, Tom?
Yeah, we've got quite a few guests talking about different things. We've posed them all different questions. We're going to kick off with BBC's Charlie Slater, who we asked what he thought was a turning point in Notts' season.
I very much look back to Halifax away just before Christmas. Prior to that, it had been a little bit hit and miss as everybody was still getting to know each other. All of the new sort of tactics and patterns of play were still bedding in. But there was something about the way that Notts responded to going behind in that game at Halifax that really showed me that there were green shoots of progress and that things were on the up. Obviously, it was a very well-timed win just before Christmas. It meant that they had a good stepping stone and a good platform to build on just before that busy Christmas and New Year period, and it was a perfect sort of building block into the new year as well. It was a good springboard into what has been a very, very good new year as far as the form goes, and throughout 2020 it's been excellent, apart from probably Hartlepool away and Dagenham and Redbridge away. They have been excellent on the whole, and I firmly believe that had the pandemic not hit, had the lockdown not happened, that Notts would have possibly gone on to challenge for automatic promotion. I think they were clicking in such a way, but I think we're very fortunate that Notts do get the opportunity to challenge for promotion. I was so impressed with how they played on Saturday against Barnet at Meadow Lane, to be able to put that sort of performance together after not playing a competitive fixture for 4.5 months was remarkable. And so with that in mind, I think if they can play their game, they have the better squad and the real talent. And Harrogate are an excellent outfit as well and a really well-run club. But I think if Notts can play their game and stick to their game and do what they do well, then I think they will win. I think it'll be nervy. I think it'll be edgy. But I think the Magpies will win, and I think they will win by 2-1. But yeah, like I say, it will be nervy.
Yeah, Charlie makes some great points there. Some sort of games you forget as well. Like, you almost forget the Christmas period, don't you? But you look across the season, it's been very up and down. So as far as turning points go, we never really had a clear turning point, did we?
No, you could literally pinpoint 4 or 5 different games, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Next person we had a chat to was Neil, Notts fan, 40 odd years, always on the fan chats after games, real diehard fan. And we spoke to him, didn't we, about how this compares to previous trips to Wembley and playoffs.
Hello, Notts fans. Just looking forward to this Sunday's playoff final against Harrogate and comparing it to those of the 90s against Tranmere and Brighton. I see some similarities between the team of the 90s and the current team. They're very committed. There's a cohesiveness about them. They're professional, incredibly hard-working, and they exude a confidence. You know, I think they give fans a confidence that they can do a job. And I'm certainly very confident that Notts can come through on Sunday. We should be back in the EFL. You know, we don't have a divine right to be there, but we should be there. As one of the founder members, we should be back there. Harrogate are to be respected. They're not a pushover side. So, you know, I can see it either being a very close game, and I fancy Notts to nick it 1-0, or due to the size of the pitch, if it's an open game and it's expansive, then I can see that we've got the players that can certainly do the job, and maybe even 2-0, 3-1 to Notts. But all I'd say to lads is good luck. You've got all the fans behind you, and come on, you pies.
Yeah, it's great to hear from Neil, who's obviously gone through a lot more playoff campaigns than us as a fan, some highs and lows. But yeah, it's just great to get insight from different fans, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting, especially that he sees the similarities in it. But that takes us on to Will. And we asked Will what sort of problems that we see facing against Harrogate. I don't think it's going to be as simple as Barnet, so I think it'll be interesting to see what Will's got to say.
Yeah, so what issues could Notts face? I think the main one that jumps out at you is definitely Johnstead. You know, you don't know. We know his goals. We know what he can do. We know what his traits are. He's good in the box. He's good with headers. If he gets a chance in the box, he'll score it. He'll tap it in. So we need to just make sure that we don't let them get balls into the box. Stop crosses getting in. And I think, we've got the defenders such as, Rawlinson, Leigh, Turner, who can bully him and not get bullied themselves. So I think, Johnstead is an issue. But if we defend right, like we do for the rest of the season, then, we should be fine. Other issues, obviously, it's a big Wembley Stadium and there's going to be no fans in there. You'd expect Notts to bring, 30,000 fans down there. So that would have obviously roared us on a lot. I think we'd have bought more than Harrogate. Not to say they wouldn't have bought a lot, because I think they would have. But I think we'd have roared a bit louder than them. But, it's the same for both teams. I think even without fans, it sounded like there was a few fans in there at Meadow Lane on Saturday, because I think the subs and that, whoever was watching, made a lot of noise when the goals went in. So you like to see that. Hopefully they can make it feel like that again. So yeah, I think fitness, it may be an issue, but they're only as fit as us, so you can't make that excuse. They've played as many games as us. So it's a pretty level playing field, I think. I think they should be a little bit more worried about our issues than we are of theirs. We've got Enzio who can just come on. They don't even know what team we're going to start with, Jim O'Brien might start, Enzio might start. I think you've got to start Roberts. Where's Thomas could start? So, I think they've got a lot more issues facing us. So, hopefully we just go out there, play our game, not too worry about them too much, and bring it back home to Meadow Lane. Come on, you pies!
I think we'll make some great points there. The big name that everyone's going to be talking about, Johnstead, as he mentioned. But yeah, on to your favourite part, stats.
Oh, love a stat. Been looking at quite a few in the build up to this one, as we always do. So let's have a look. Harrogate finished second. They played 37 games, finished on 66 points. Notts third, played one game more and ended up on 63 points. So if you look at points per game, Harrogate for two teams that are so close together, they're quite a way ahead of us on that. But as we know, Notts finished the season in very strong form, as did Harrogate. Both teams scored 61 goals, so we're both free-firing teams. But where the difference is Notts have the better defence. So Harrogate have conceded 44, obviously played a game less. Notts only conceded 38, and you've got to say that run at home when we went about 5 games without even conceding a goal, massively in that. And then you look at our 3 centre-backs that are all higher standard in the Championship. The last meeting was the 13th of August. Smith got sent off for Harrogate in a 2-0 win. Dennis scored the penalty after the red card, and Enzio wrapped it up right near the end. I remember seeing the scenes. It's not one we went to, but the away fans, when Enzio got the second to make it comfortable, it was good. It was in a way they would love to have gone to, but it's one of the many highs of the season. If you look at that team, some of the names that actually played, you've got Osborne, Tyson, then Bakayoko, Booty, Declan Dunn, Sam Graham, who you forget about.
Yeah.
So many of these players won't be in the squad. I believe it was Booty and Rose that started in the centre. Look at it now, it's Doyle's an absolute must, isn't it? Yeah. O'Brien could start there, but and the final thing to mention is both teams have players on 13 goals, the top scorers, Muldoon and Wootton.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because to have similar high goal scorers, it sort of gives you a nervy feeling going into the game. But that does take us on to players to watch. James Belshaw, their goalkeeper, 38 appearances this season. You don't get 38 appearances coming second in the league by being poor. You look at our team, when Slocum wasn't in the side, you felt, uneasy. That save he made against Barnet was crucial, because if it goes to 1-1, it's a completely different game. So I do think, they've stuck with that keeper throughout the season, as his appearances show. And I think he's going to be, looking to not let any goals in, as every keeper does, I suppose. Yeah,
exactly. It could be crucial when he gets penalties as well. Yeah. Definitely. Obviously, another man to watch, Jack Muldoon. He's been at Fylde. He's their top scorer with 13, as I've already said, level with Wootton. Got the crucial goal against Boreham Wood. Decent goal as well. I mean, it's as simple as, if we can contain Muldoon and they can't contain Wootton, you hope, don't you? I think Wootton's got a bit more than Muldoon. He's got the physical presence. He was involved in both goals against Barnet, but obviously Jack Muldoon is the main threat, isn't he?
You say that.
I'll say that.
But my next player, I think, is going to be hungry for a goal, isn't he? John Stead. We briefly mentioned him earlier. He's got 7 goals this season, which isn't, spectacular. But he's got 2 red cards. Now, I think it's a story in itself, that is, isn't it?
Yeah. Rile him.
Yeah, rile him up. I feel like against his former side, that, towards the back end, he was getting slated by the fans, so he's going to want to, wind up the fans, maybe score a goal, tug at the players, make it difficult for Notts. I think we've just got to get in his face and wind him up a little bit.
Exactly. So there's the stats, there's the players to watch. That takes us nicely. We spoke to another fan chat regular, Matt, who wants to have a talk about how he thinks both sides are going to set up tactically in the Wembley playoff final.
Sunday the 2nd of August. It's Notts County, it's Harrogate Town, it's Wembley Stadium, and it's for a place in League Two. It's undoubtedly the biggest game of the year for both teams. Just how's it going to go, really? How is it going to go? Well, first off, formation. I don't think there'll be too many surprises here. I think it's probably going to be 4-4-2 plays 4-4-2. It's what both teams play in the semis, and it's what both teams will probably play in the final. The other big talking point and decision Neil Ardley is going to make is who plays on that left-hand side. Last Saturday, we saw Jim O'Brien play there. Rather at an element of surprise for that one. I think a lot of people thought it would be Enzi on one side and Roberts on the other. However, it was O'Brien. Personally, I think that was a tactical decision. I don't think it was down to fitness or injury. I think it was to combat the right winger for Barnet, who was a pacey lad. Joel Bagan, great left back, but not much experience. I think O'Brien was in there to kind of fight some fires, so to speak. So I really wouldn't be surprised to see O'Brien stay in there, keeping his slot, and same with Turner, to be honest. But I mean, ultimately, what do I think the score's going to be? I wouldn't be surprised if this goes all the way to penalties. I really wouldn't. It's 2 very good teams, 2nd and 3rd in the league, deserve to be there, play good football, defend well, and I could see it going all the way to penalties. I could see it being a 0-0 and going all the way to penalties, unless there's a bit of magic. Hopefully Cal Roberts picks something up again. Wouldn't complain. All the best, and come on Notts on Sunday.
Very interesting from Matt there. I thought he is a man that knows his stuff, isn't he, about National League football. Very interesting. Yeah,
and that takes us to Jordan. Would have seen him after the Barnet game soak through outside Meadow Lane with a big cheesy grin on his face.
Yep.
We've said our 3 players to watch for Harrogate. He's going to talk about 3 Notts players to watch. Really, you could talk about 6 or 7 key players to watch, but Jordan's going to tell us his 3 that he thinks are our key men.
It's going to be difficult to pick 3 key players. They're all going to obviously turn up and have to point a shift like they did against Barnet. But I think Cal Roberts is clearly going to be a key player again. Whenever he gets the ball, he can create anything from nothing. I'm excited just to get him on the board and see if he can create something again for us. Secondly, Cal Wootton. I think a lot of people may have overlooked his impact in the Barnet game. He got the nod on to O'Brien from Slocum's goal kick or kick upfield, and he played a part in the second goal as well. So I think he'll actually be quite a key player that maybe some people might have not thought of. And then lastly, it'll have to be one of the centre backs, whether that would be Turner, Ronaldson, Leigh. One of them, or even both, but obviously third key player, one of them has to be pivotal to make sure we don't concede, try not to concede any goals. But on that note, I think we may just concede 1. I think we'll edge it 2-1, and so that's my score prediction going into the game on Sunday. But I'm very confident we're going to get this win and get promoted. Come on, you pies!
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Jordan there. If I had to pick one of those 3 for key players, Cal Roberts, it's got to be, hasn't it? He's got that injection of something special. Yeah, he's going to be wanting to put himself on the stage again like he did in the semi-final. So, yeah, I agree with what he said there.
Yeah, 100%. Leaving Jordan, we are now going to see what Holly has to say. Holly has obviously been on the fan chats a number of times this season and is also a Notts County women's player. We asked her how she sees the game panning out and obviously her score prediction.
I'm really looking forward to the game this Sunday. and I think it'll be a real final test for the team. And it's amazing how far they've come, especially after kind of COVID, and they've had that delay of not playing any games. To be able to say that they're in the final at Wembley is an amazing achievement. And if you look back to like last summer, you would never expect the club or team to be in this position, especially because of what happened. And the new owners coming in have really changed kind of the atmosphere around at the club. So it's an amazing chance, opportunity for them to go full head and grab it and be back into Football League. And I think that Notts will edge it on the day just with that hunger and desire. I know Harrogate haven't been in the Football League before, but I think the Notts players will just want it that little bit more because of some of them were in that team at Swindon away in the last game of the season, and they were relegated, so they know what the fans have been through. They've been through it themselves, so I think they'll really want to push the team over that last kind of final hurdle. I don't really like to predict scores, but I think Notts will win, but I do think both teams will score. I know our defence has been good this season, but you can't rule Harrogate out. Like, they were second this year behind Barrow and they had a game in hand, so if the season had carried on, you wouldn't have known what had happened. Harrogate could have gone top. It was kind of a tight one, so Harrogate are a very, very good team, but I do see Notts kind of like inching it. And it's just kind of bittersweet that as a fan as well, that it's at Wembley and we can't go, but I'd rather them win at Wembley and not see it, apart from on TV, than not win at all. Yeah, so fingers crossed for Sunday.
Yeah, I can see where Holly's coming from there. I mean, we were saying this could pan out anyway, so it's a really tough one to call, I think. But that takes us on a little bit more from us now. We're going to go for team news. Now, at the time of recording, there isn't any team news. I don't think they're going to release team news if there was any anyway, you know, to give anything away to maybe possible lineups, like people not being in the squad. So in that sense, no team news.
We've seen a few things from Ardy this season where he switched formations. Barrow comes to mind. I think he went to a 3 at the back, didn't he? 3-5-2. I think we're sticking with 4-4-2 for Wembley.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that changing at all. I think Slocum obviously was starting goal.
Yeah.
Right back, I wanted Kelly Evans for the semi-final. Brindley was incredible in the semi-final.
Very, very professional.
So Richard Brindley has to stay in. Centre backs seems an easy.
Don't change it.
Sure.
Turner's ready, mate. Have you seen his hair?
I have.
He is ready.
The only thing is, Wembley is a big, big pitch.
And he's played there before.
Yeah, but, you know, I agree I wouldn't change it, but if there was to be a weakness, how long has Turner not played for? That could be the weakness. I'll keep it the same.
Yeah.
Lacey will boss.
I agree with what you're saying.
Lacey will boss it,
but it's not bad to have 5 subs.
No.
And have Rawlinson on the bench to replace him if things do start going sour, but can't see it. Confident.
Bagan.
Marcelo.
What a player. I can't say enough. What a player.
He creates so much space for himself. You know, he's phenomenal. To say he's a teenager, phenomenal.
Yeah. I just said it. Wembley's a big pitch. It would suit him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's go to the wingers.
So we'll start on the left. Make it interesting start, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was shocked when I saw that O'Brien started left mid, but it couldn't have worked any better, could it? Got a great assist from what was looking to be like nothing. You know, he had pressure on him. The player was closing him in and swung it in straight on Dennis's head. Goal. So, do you change it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's one of them, innit? I do feel like Ardley's going to spice it up. I don't think he's going to stick with the same 11.
I think my 2 wingers are Enzio and Roberts, purely for the fact they can beat any man 1-on-1 in this league. And I know I've probably said it 50 times already. It's a big pitch. Isolate the wingers 1-on-1. You've got a cross or a shot. And you know, over the years, there's been some incredible goals in playoff matches and things at Wembley.
Yeah.
Players just turn up. Enzio he's going to turn up.
Yeah.
Isolate Roberts and Enzio. They had 2 players on Roberts for his goal against Barnet, and he still made him look silly.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to agree with you. You know, the season Enzio's had, he's going to be high in confidence. This is the game he's going to want to, you know, make the difference. So, yeah, I'll agree.
Centre mids then. Doyle
Doyle
and
Rose.
O'Brien.
Tough.
It's tricky.
Tough.
You could put either of them in there.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I can't drop O'Brien.
Rose impressed me last game.
Yeah, Rose was good.
So did O'Brien though, so it's a really tough
You
call.
can't drop the man of the match.
We'll see.
Tricky, isn't it?
Very tricky. But for me, it's Rose.
Yeah. Now up front is where I could see pace with Thomas being really important.
Yeah.
But it's got to be Dennis and Woodson. It has to be.
I'm sorry. I like Dennis, great player, but I do like Wes Thomas as well, and I feel like he's going to come into this game, and I think it's going to be Wotton and Thomas up top.
Fair play.
With the availability of Dennis coming on maybe at half time, like I said before, 60 minutes.
Yeah, I just think, look, when Dennis scored crucial time
yeah,
in the game,
yeah.
He was nowhere.
I agree.
And he just manoeuvred that, but it's interesting. We've got a lot of people would say no chance we change that team, but
you have to change things up. You can't. I know it's only one game, but we do have to change stuff, and that sort of takes us on to our score prediction, doesn't it?
biggest one of the season.
I do agree with Slater, because he was saying it's going to be very cagey, and you just know it is.
I can't see Notts keeping Muldoon and quiet for a whole game.
I can.
But look at the centre backs. Look at the defence we've got. I'm going 1-0.
I'm going 2-0.
And your goal scorer?
As long as they're in black and white, I'm at the point where I'm not bothered who scores.
The Geordie Messi.
The Geordie Messi will get his hat-trick, but we'll win 2-0.
Yeah, VAR.
Yeah, VAR will run out for us.
No, I think 1-0. Very, very tough game. Yeah, you've heard our lineup. So we asked James, another fan chat regular, what he thinks will be the lineup, and again, his score prediction.
Hi guys, hope you're both doing well. So the lineup, what do we say? Do we change much from last week? I don't think so. The only thing is the left to mid. Would you keep O'Brien? Probably. There's no reason to drop him. But then Enzio, I think Enzio's quite a good impact sub, to be fair. I know he should really be starting his quality in the National League, but you can't drop O'Brien after his performance. But otherwise, you got to stick the same, I think. I mean, I'm no tactical genius, otherwise I'd be doing that job. But yeah, I just think you got to stick with it. It was a winning sort of style lineup. The other question will be the centre back. Would you stick with Turner? Is there any need to drop him? I personally wouldn't drop him. He did a fantastic job. And then it's just the issue with Stead if he plays. So you probably need the bigger, more physical defender in there. So I wouldn't change the team too much. And I think he said in his interviews after that he was just going for sort of the fittest squad or the most ready, because of obviously the break and everything. So I wouldn't change anything at all. Just keep it all the same, play it nicely, and everything should be okay. But so in regards to the score as well, as you said, you can't go for a loss. You can't predict a loss, as much as I'd like to, so I'm not too disappointed. I'm going to say a 1-0 victory. It's going to be tight. It's not going to be as open as easy as the last game. I think everyone will play cagey because you just don't want to lose almost more than you want to win. I know it sounds a bit silly, but you're scared of losing. So I think it's going to be cagey for both sides. But short of predicting a loss, I think it'll be a 1-0 victory to us. You don't want the penalties. I won't be able to handle the nerves of the penalties. So yeah, I'm gonna go for that. I hope you both well. Stay safe.
I feel for James there. You know, he's right. We struggled. Do you keep it the same? Do you change it? It's one of those. I can see where he's coming from, but you know, he's right. We're right. You know, no one's wrong. I just think
Odd is right.
Yeah, you got to trust what Audley does, and that's the bottom line, I think.
Exactly. That takes us on to our final guest, and it's Leigh Curtis from the Nottingham Post. Obviously, very prominent figure in the Notts County community online. Fantastic stuff all season from Leigh. We asked him how this playoff team compares to the team a couple of years ago
against Coventry.
They played Coventry.
the team that Kevin Nolan built in 17-18, I loved it. I think it was a formidable team, very physical, powerful, strong, horrible to play against. I think if you asked most teams in the league that year which team they hated facing the most, it would have probably been Notts, because you knew you were in for a fight. Show Ramiobi up top, great centre forward, big, powerful, great with his back to goal. Obviously after he left Notts that season, they never really replaced him. They did miss him. You had the experience of John Stead, who had a fantastic campaign. Jonathan Fort really came into his own in the back end of that season. You had good wide player in George Grant, fabulous, bit of bedevilment, coming in off that left hand side, scored 18 goals, which is a terrific return. And Matt too, I think if you ask Matt, and I'm sure he'd agree, he was in the form of his life then under Kevin that season. It was just such a shame they couldn't get over the line against Coventry. As we all know, it was a controversial 2 games, and you know, even now the refereeing decisions still rankle. I watched the game during lockdown, and yeah, it was there was some really bad decisions made in that game, and you just wonder, had they not been made, what would have happened. So yeah, it was a good team. It was a good team that Kevin Nolan put together. I'd probably say the only thing that it was lacking, certainly in the last sort of few months of the season, was a good centre midfield player. I think once Ryan Yates had gone back to Forest and then on loan to Scunthorpe, he was never really replaceable. Nor Hussein in, but it never really worked. And I think had they had Michael O'Connor fit that season, he probably might have been the difference between them going up in the playoffs sort of automatically. You know, he was such a good player and a big miss for them. And obviously we saw what he did when he went to Lincoln. He went on and won the title. So had he been fit, things might have been a bit different. I think this team that Neil's got has probably got a bit more pace in it. Enzio, Callum Roberts, Richard Brinley's runs like an athlete, very quick, like a sprinter. Carl Wotton's no slouch. It's got great experience, again a bit like that Kevin team. It's got Michael O'Doyle, Jim O'Brien, Ben Turner, you know, players who have been there, seen it, done it at the highest level. So I think you know, it is a very, very good squad, and it's ticked every box you could want. It's also got players in the prime of their careers, you know, the likes of Mitch Rose, Enzio, you know, 26, 27. You've got young players in there just starting their careers, but packed with talent. Cal Roberts, Joel Bagan. So I think, you know, it's a fantastic squad they've put together. So I think on Sunday, I think it'll be the team that wins the midfield battle that will come out on top. I think there's been a lot of talk about the flair players and them being the difference on the day, but I genuinely don't believe that. I think it'll be the team that wins the centre of the park, and the team that handles the occasion better, because there will be nerves. And I think that's where the likes of Ben Turner and Doyle in particular will be so crucial, because they've played in these big games before. They'll know what to expect, and that experience they can pass on to the younger players will be so invaluable on the day. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I think Harrogate are very, very good. I think if you listen to all the pundits, I think nobody's tipping Notts to beat them, which goes to show you what everybody thinks about Harrogate. People seem to think that they you know, deserve promotion. If you listen to what the pundits were saying at the weekend about them, so yeah, perhaps Neil was right in the fact that they go into the game as underdogs, because I've not seen anybody tipping Notts to beat them on Sunday. So I think it'll be a terrific game, and like I say, I think it'll be the team that handles the occasion a better. As a prediction, I said that I thought Notts would beat Barnet. I think this will be a lot tighter game. I can even see it going to penalties, to be honest. But I think Notts will just edge it. So yeah, I'm going to go for a dramatic Notts win on penalties.
I can certainly see some comparisons with the playoff team from Coventry, but at the same time, the camaraderie for me is fantastic at the minute. So much better than even that time under Nolan.
The feel at the club's different for me, completely different. Definitely. But yeah, that wraps up one huge preview for a huge game at Wembley. I mean, for us, it's the biggest game Notts have had in the history of this channel. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. It was a little bit of a different one. We thought we had to go all out for this because it's a huge game. You know, we just hope that Notts make it back into the Football League. Let us know how you think the game's going to go in the comment section below. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe now and make sure you like the video. Thanks for watching, guys.